Following the shocking murder of socialite Starlet Wahu.
Starlet Wahu. Starlet Wahu.
Starlet Wahu.
Starlet Wahu. Starlet Wahu Mwangi.
When popular Instagram model Starlet Wahu Mwangi, also known to some of her close friends as Icy Wifey, met with John Ongoa Matara on the evening of 3rd January 2024. She did not believe her life would be taken in the most brutal of ways by a man she had briefly met on a dating website, but turned out to be, as we will soon find out in this story, was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Welcome to another story, 54. Before we take a look at today's story, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who takes their time to watch my videos. I'm very happy and grateful that I get to pass the 100 subscribers mark. It may seem like a low number as compared to other channels. However, I am satisfied with growing my small community of people who appreciate stories that get to be brought to the limelight around the African continent. I would not have gotten to this point. So again, accept my gratitude for the 100 subscribers to the channel, as well as all the viewers. For this milestone, I would also like to remember all the women who have lost their lives, particularly in Kenya, since the beginning of the year 2024, through the hands of terrible men who should never set foot back into society. The country Kenya is gripped with a serious case of violence towards women. In the year 2022, as reported by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, the country had the highest number of recorded femicide cases, at 725 cases. This alarming acts of violence towards women should be addressed by the government and treated with the utmost gravity and urgency. Today we will be looking at a recent case of the bloody murder of Nairobi-based socialite and fashion model Starlet Wahu inside one of the Airbnbs in the sprawling estates of South B, Nairobi. Her killer, as we will later find out, had a long history of assault towards women. Unfortunately, he had never faced punishment from the law. The case taking place a few days ago still has a lot of information being investigated, and I will be sure to make an update video once all the facts of the case have been established by the relevant authorities. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more African true crime stories. Starlet Wahu was born in Kamulu to her mother Lucy Nduta, who is a well-known pastor and normally goes by the title Prophetess. Starlet had two older brothers who followed in the family business of spreading the word of God. Her brothers, the controversial televangelist Victor Kanyari and Jackson Waweru, also are pastors at their mother's church, which she founded, Salvation Healing Ministry. Starlet attended the University of Nairobi from 2016 and would successfully graduate in 2022. On her graduation day, Starlet could be seen in high spirits, possibly with the hope of a better career in the near future, and expressed her gratitude to her mother for putting her through school. Her mother, Pastor Lucy Nduta, and Starlet were very close. Their bond could be clearly seen shared by the two, even taking vacation during holidays together. The family had strong ties, and this was evident when they treated their mother to a lavish 59th birthday for her in June 2023. On the last day of December 2023, the family had spent time together at home to celebrate the coming new year. Sadly, this would be the last time they would spend time with her as a whole family. Starlet had made a name for herself back in 2015 as a beautiful Instagram model, as documented on her profile, where her posts showcase her vivacious personality with a particular significance on her fashion sense and appetite for life. She would prove to be an upcoming prominent figure in the beauty world, known for selling designer clothes and shoes. In spite of coming from a Christian family that had strong ties to the faith, Starlet was not conservative and lived a secular life. She was an attractive single lady, and she would join a dating site in search of a relationship. One of the Airbnbs in the South B area would be booked on the evening of 3rd of January 2024 by a man in his 30s, and he was accompanied by Starlet Wahu at the Papino apartments. They were captured by CCTV checking into the building as they walked side by side and stopped at the ground floor's elevators, and the two would patiently wait. Starlet could be seen wearing a red skirt and denim jacket, while her companion was wearing a blue shirt with beige khaki pants and is seen carrying a red shopping bag. Starlet can be seen pacing around for a bit. Then they eventually enter the lift, and moments later they are seen stepping out of the lift on the building's 4th floor. They walk towards their allocated short stay, flat, apartment number Y32, and they walk in for the evening's events. A couple of hours later, the man earlier seen on the CCTV cameras with Starlet Wahu walks out from the apartment they were in on his own, without Starlet, and in stark contrast to his entrance just hours earlier. The man seems a bit exhausted as he makes his way to the elevator, and his clothes a bit bloody, and the elevator doors open and he enters. Fortunately, inside it had several occupants who seemed shocked at his state after they noticed blood dripping when the man stepped out at the ground floor. Once he got out of the building's compound, he was spotted by more people as he calmly walked outside the building without being questioned by security. However, the security guard grew concerned from the man's appearance while leaving the building and decided to call the owner of the apartment, one Mrs. Florence. After being informed on how the guest had been spotted and in his state, Florence rushed to the Airbnb and found it locked. She had spare keys on her, which she used to gain access to the flat, and there on the living room floor, the body of Starlet lay in a pool of her own blood. She had suffered a painful, slow death by bleeding out from her wound. The B&B host rushed and reported the matter at the South B police station, less than 3 kilometers away. The B&B owner, after reporting to the police, they immediately set out to try and apprehend the perpetrator. Using the phone number of the male suspect that they received from the B&B host, they were able to track the 34-year-old man 7 kilometers away at the Mbagati hospital hours later. The man laying in a hospital bed being treated for an injury on his leg would be later identified as John Ongoa Matara. Well, by this time, the murder of Starlet Wahu was making its rounds on the national news and all over social media platforms. Not a lot was known about John Matara, and the police began to try to gather more information about what took place inside apartment Y32, and eventually John's long history of crime. The main suspect, John Ongoa Matara, was born in Darajambili, Kisii County, in 1989. In his earlier younger life, he was a staunch member of the Seventh-day Adventist and was described as deeply spiritual and loved to sing in the church choir. In his teenage years, he attended Butere Boys High School in Kakamega County in 2008. However, before that he would be expelled from Kisii High School in 2005 in his second year. This was because of his rebellious, disruptive, and threatening behavior to even his teachers. He would join Butere Boys High School in 2006, where he repeated his second year of high school, and just like clockwork, he would soon get in trouble at the new school and get expelled yet again a year after he joined. He would complete high school and start making reggae music under the stage name Rebellious Monk, and had a few songs posted on his YouTube channel under the same name. He became a Rastafarian and followed their faith, which is believed to have started during his high school days or prior. His music career ended as soon as it began, and he then is said to have started joining dating sites, and he would have numerous different women coming to his house, and how he frequently was seen with bottles of alcohol. He would spend most days in the house and leave in the evening, only to come back in the dead of night. When the news coverage hit the national TV stations and spread all over social media in Kenya, a number of his previous victims came out and accused the suspect of sexually assaulting them before stealing their cash, and other valuables from them. He used the popular dating app, Tagged, to lure most of his female victims by first making sweet compliments about the girl's physical features. He would then add to the compliments by making promises laden with monetary rewards and trips before for the impending date. On the day of Starlet's death, after his identity had been quickly revealed by the police, one of his victims quickly disclosed her terrible encounter with Matara just 4 days before Starlet's death on social media. On the 29th of December 2023, Matara met with the lady whom she had been talking with on the dating app. They had planned on meeting up after days of conversation for a steamy encounter in a short-stay apartment in exchange of 15,000 Kenya shillings. But the night soon became hell for the young lady, as she was forced to strip. Her hands and legs would be bound with rope, and John began assaulting her as he got around 50,000 Kenya shillings from her phone. He used a hot iron box to burn her in a way to make her cooperate. He strangled her, but luckily she wasn't seriously harmed, but would be scarred around her neck. She would later report the incident to the police and was recorded as robbery with violence and sexual assault. However, nothing was done, or the investigation had not been started at the time to try and locate him. Another victim was lucky enough after inviting John Matara to her residence in Kasarani area. Matara would launch his assault almost immediately after being ushered in the house. Luckily, she would be saved by Boda Boda operators who heard her screams from her house and forced their way inside, and they were able to rescue her. This time he was recorded on cell phone video, but miraculously he was able to wiggle his way out of this incident. The lady did not report this incident until she saw his face on the news and on social media after murdering Starlet. Another incident which happened in the county of Nakuru, a distance over 160 kilometers away from Nairobi, where a woman had posted online that she was selling her digital camera, and a few days later she would meet up with Matara to initiate the sale. He led her to a lodging in the town and led her inside a room where another man was lying in wait. She was subjected to sexual assault from both men, robbed of her camera, money, and they took multiple mobile phone loans on her phone and then tied her up and left her in the room as they made their quick escape. These courageous women made more women come out and give their own accounts, testimonies on social media, and recorded statements with the Kenya police, which had been unreported before due to fear of ridicule. All these cases made police believe that Matara is a serial perpetrator, and even were trying to find a link to murders of young women around the city to see whether he was also a serial killer. They would investigate due to the fact that a calculated pattern of abuse, deception, and extortion that extended beyond the murder of Wahu spread to other parts of the country. The police responded to the scene of Starlet's murder immediately after the owner of the B&B had reported her body lying in the house. They arrived at the B&B to a bloody scene with signs of a violent struggle in the bedroom and living room. Starlet's body was found lying naked, midway from the bed towards the main door, an indication of an attempt and struggle to call for help. Her body was recovered and taken to the city mortuary, where an autopsy revealed a stab wound on the head near the left ear, a deep cut on the right thigh, and a human bite on the left arm. There were broken glasses and splattered blood throughout the entire room, evidence a moment of life and death struggle. Police further found HIV testing kits, used condoms, rolled bhang, a bottle of alcohol, and a blood-stained kitchen knife, which they believed to be the murder weapon, at the scene. The police recovered a message that Matara had sent to the B&B host. He left a disturbing message, asking her to rush to the apartment as soon as she could, claiming to have fought with his girlfriend and locked her inside the house.
Things happened. I left the house in panic. I locked my girlfriend inside. She is not in good condition, and it is quite disturbing. The key is with the watchman who is seated outside the gate. He seems to be elderly and a Maasai. I could not see the caretaker. I have left, and I am far now. It was a heated disagreement, and I did some bad things. She is in the bedroom. The earlier you get there, the better. The later you get there, the worse. You will not hear from me for some hours. I need to recuperate. I am so sorry about it. Please say no word for now. You have no idea how much we have fought all night, but no property has been destroyed. Thank you for everything.
The host tried questioning Matara, but she never received a response. Police raided his house in Kahawa West and combed through his house trying to get more clues on the ongoing investigation. His house had basic furniture, alcohol bottles, books, and notes on the walls. More HIV testing kits and condoms would be recovered. The police held Matara as they concluded investigations. Before he would be presented in court, he would be processed for plea, which included undergoing mental assessment, which is a requirement for murder suspects. When he appeared in court, he was draped in a pinstripe suit and had his hands cuffed. The prosecution had 6 female witnesses from Nairobi, Thika, and Nakuru towns, who had been John's previous victims after being lured from dating sites with the pretense that he was in search of love, only to face serious torture, extortion, and were held hostage. While he was being led to court, Matara's lawyer claimed his client was physically assaulted inside the court premises by an unknown person. His lawyer further claimed while Matara was in detention at the industrial area police station. 2 individuals attempted to forcibly remove his client from the police cells, claiming his client's life was in danger. He also claimed that his client had only been interrogated twice during the 21 days of detention, when the police requested the court for 7 more days to collect more evidence that had come to light during the investigation. His lawyer insisted that the police could not ensure his client's safety, even in police custody. On the 2nd day of February, he was presented in court and formally charged with murder following the completion of investigations. Matara pleaded not guilty to the accusations that were presented against him. The prosecution is set to make an application to have Matara denied bail in the next hearing on the 26th of February. Starlet Wahu's burial would be attended by close relatives in a private ceremony attended by around 20 people, just 3 days after the gruesome incident, defying the customary week-long mourning period observed among the Kikuyu community. The hasty burial was highly questioned, as people on social media raised concerns about the family's apparent desire to avoid public scrutiny. Starlet's brother, Pastor Victor Kanyari, came out and explained, the need to proceed with the burial quickly was to avoid media scrutiny. He would go on and defend his sister's lifestyle, saying even though coming from a religious family, Starlet had and was well within her rights to enjoy life how she pleased. He asked people not to pass judgment against her lifestyle, emphasizing that everyone has their own unique paths and struggles. Her death, and the death of more women that followed in just the first month of the year, led to thousands of women and men to march in the streets of Nairobi and other major cities and towns, calling for an end to femicide and violence against women. The campaign demanded immediate and swift action to protect women, and even went on to condemn women in leadership positions in the country for not doing enough to aid their cause and by remaining silent. Following this harrowing tragedy, it is important to stay safe when using dating apps. A number of apps have safety features to protect its users. However, if you're going to be meeting potential strangers from dating apps, it is imperative you understand the ins and outs of safeguarding yourself in real life as well as during the digital age. A few tips to consider when using dating apps. 1. Signing up for dating apps. Using your social media accounts like Facebook and Instagram allows data to be exchanged. This is why some matches show up as recommended people to interact with. 2. When looking for matches on dating sites, profiles that are not verified or only have one picture might be a red flag. Some profiles may also appear too good to be true. 3. Another red flag can be seen when a match immediately wants to change the communication from the dating app to another app, or may want to immediately meet up. 4. Video chatting with a potential date ensures you can match the face on the profile to the face on the video. 5. Ensure to meet the date in a public place and tell those close to you about the impending date, your location, even sharing your location with them. 6. Don't rely on the date to cater for your transport you can leave on your own when you feel uncomfortable with or around them. Always trust your gut. 7. Always ensure to limit the amount of personal information you give and make sure to take your time. These are just a few tips you can use to safeguard your online and possible physical interactions from dating sites. John Matara's fate is yet to be decided as the legal proceedings continue to develop. Be sure to be on the lookout for an updated video or a short on the channel. Starlet Wahu was full of life and was a hard-working entrepreneur by starting her own business, Lux. She was full of resilience and always a joy to her mother and family. Her close friends feel the void of her untimely loss. She lived a life that was enviable to many. May her soul rest in peace. That pretty much covers Starlet's case today. I will be sure to keep you updated on new outcomes and events relating to the case. Once again, thank you for the 100 subscribers, and do please consider giving this video a like. I will try and put out more stories around the African continent every month instead of just one. You can check out my TikTok to be updated once a new video is uploaded, or by clicking the notification bell. Asante, and stay blessed.